Smelling me some cornbread.
Hello and welcome to CornBread, multimedia-verse production. I'm Joe.
I'm Harry.
Hoping that you've listened to the previous episode, so that makes sense.
And if you haven't,
funny.
go
Go back
listen
and
to
go
it
back
now.
and listen to
Or
118
watch it, in
because
fact.
there is a genuine name blooper in there, which is kind of hilarious. In actuality, I am Harry, and this is Joe.
I'm Joe.
We are sans Cal, unfortunately. We actually realised that because he was out on a ranch.
Last week,
he left us. He went to a ranch.
He went to America to become a cowboy.
And what happens when you're on a ranch is basically Clint Eastwood finds you.
Always.
He's just always.
It's kind of
his
part
thing.
and parcel.
Yeah.
With it.
I think Hollywood are a bit fed up with him, being like, "Oh, just stop hanging around ranches, Clint Eastwood, and making films about cowboys."
Isn't it?
But he can't help himself.
He couldn't.
So he saw Callum, and he was like, "You are the best cowboy."
I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. In your little shorties and those little cowboy boots. So he recruited him.
Yeah.
But Cal said no because he'd fathered a donkey.
He'd fathered a donkey. The mule.
The mule. Yeah. Is that what a baby donkey's called?
Well, Clint Eastwood had a film called The Mule, didn't he?
I didn't know that. I knew there was a film called The Mule, but I didn't realise it was directed by Clint Eastwood. Sorry, well, we can change it. I mean, everything we're saying is totally true. Actually, sorry, I was mistaken. Callum fathered a mule. And Clint Eastwood was like, "I've already done that.
Yeah,
I've already made a film about someone fathering a mule, which I'm assuming is what the mule is
I don't know. I think it's
about."
more like a drug mule, maybe.
I mean, I would assume so. I don't think it's about a natural mule. But
you never know.
You never know. It could be. It could be about a mule and a man and a mule. But I assume. But yeah, so that's what he was up to this week.
Yeah.
He's basically having a bit of a battle with Clint Eastwood about the fact that he wanted to be in the film, but he had parental obligations to this mule that he'd fathered and made.
And the thing is, like,
with a female mule.
Once he's tied into the film, it's not just the film. There's the press release.
Yeah.
There's the premiere, and there's the inevitable sequels.
Yeah.
Which we just know he's going to get tied into because he is the best damn cowboy we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, with his tassels.
With tassels and his spurs and his bullwhip and his nice little hat. And he wears that plaid shirt that he ties in a bow.
Yeah. He's the bestest damn cowboy that ever was.
He's a sexy little thing.
Yeah, he might as well be fucking... Oh, what's her name? Not Jessica Alba. Who's the one that's in fucking... Oh, the Dukes of Hazzard film with Johnny Knoxville and...
I don't know.
You know who I mean? These boots are made for walking. Jessica Simpson, that's
Jessica
it.
Simpson.
He's basically the next Jessica Simpson.
Yeah.
And
just waiting to happen.
Yeah, it has been, and it is a role he's been destined to take on.
Yeah.
Is the actual real life persona of Jessica Simpson.
But he's busy with his fucking mule.
He's busy. He's too busy being a dad to a mule. But that is what happens when you father a mule.
It is.
It's
weird
a
commitment.
Human mule hybrid that he's fostered.
Because
he made love with a female mule, and now we've got this weird like mule when it's got a beard and everything. Like,
yeah, it looks the spitting image of Cal.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, right down to the short shorts.
Yeah.
Oh well, but keep being the bestest cowboy ever, Cal, if you're listening.
Yeah.
And
Yeehaw.
we hope you're back with us next week, and if not, we'll look forward to updating the world on your whereabouts.
And if you've, the film, Hollywood is a busy place, mate. There's tossing and turning, everything's changing.
Can you either bring Clint Eastwood or your weird mule baby onto the podcast?
Or both.
Or both, yeah. I'd see a weird mule baby sat on Clint Eastwood's lap as entertainment.
We just sit there and watch him for like an hour.
Yeah.
Just be like...
Maybe we need to make some AI thumbnails of Clint Eastwood was stroking a donkey on his lap.
That is probably the most doable thing we've had. We've talked about for a while.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to do that later. I'll send it to you all. Maybe I'll just send that to Callum. I'll be like, try and work out what we talked about.
That's not even like the episode.
No, it's just the fucking weird shit at the start that we totally don't make up.
For the people that are listening and just heard that, Callum is actually still editing whilst
Yeah, so
whilst he's away.
yeah, so Callum very kindly, if he doesn't tend to appear on an episode due to prior commitments with donkeys and such, does very kindly usually edit the episode. So it's a bit of a knowing wink wink thing that he is listening before you are listening. Yeah, he's always listening, so he's probably having a little chuckle to himself as he hears us in the future. We're talking to Callum in the future right now.
There's a bomb headed for you.
The world's going to end.
I'm sending right now. I'm going to leave. Look out your window.
Do you find that weird though?
Imagine, yeah, but that's
because we're talking to Callum in the future.
We are, but we don't know what the current state of affairs are going to be from this point forward.
Yeah, I'm not saying we can predict the future, but what we're saying right now, when Callum hears it for the first time, we'll be in the future, so we might as well be talking to him in the future.
But we are.
But this is what I mean. It's weird, isn't it?
That's like when we say edit around that, Cal.
Yeah. But don't edit around that. That was just a point of reference.
We are from the past, and we're talking to you in the moment.
Do as we say.
In the future.
Yeah.
We're getting far too.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever done the thing in the? I think I saw it in The Big Bang Theory where you like say if time travel exists.
Yeah. From
you have to come to this point in time to prove that. So
5 seconds from now.
Yeah. So. If time travel's real,
and we invented it,
or are able to use it and bring it back.
To this moment, what's the time and
date?
So
it's the 26th of February 2025, and it is 7:53. I think that they should make everyone in the world do this until someone eventually turns up. Probably going to happen. Anyway, time travel to this room. That didn't happen.
Yeah, Cal, edit in.
Yeah.
Edit in, like...
Yeah, like some lightning, like the Terminator lightning and things like.
And like us getting up.
Yeah.
Like Terminator.
Isn't it some?
Yeah, naked, fucking butt ass naked.
Yeah, massive dong schlongs. Can you edit me a big dong, please, Cal?
Everyone has them in the future.
Yeah. Donginator.
Donginator.
Dong, big dong, schlong, dong, bong. Cool.
Good start.
Yeah, that's our start. That's the start of the episode. So should we get us back on, should we talk about some things?
What do you want to talk about, mate?
Well, I don't actually know what I want to talk about. Should I talk about some Oscar-y things?
No.
No? No. Well, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you some choices of what I can talk about. You ready?
Go on.
Actually, I'm going to take the decision out of your hands. I'm going to talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, do it. I'd love to hear
That's a good one. So, I played the Silent Hill 2 remake. You have played the original Silent Hill 2 game, haven't you?
No.
Ah, you're such a bitch.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I thought you had.
No, I started playing Silent Hill 1 on my 3DS because I could get it
emulated. That was a mistake because it's so hard to play, isn't it?
It's not that bad. It's manageable. Once you, like...
get used to it. It's like Resident Evil 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fine. I would say... well, you definitely just need to play the remake at this point now that there is an accessible way to play the story. I'm going to touch on some... I won't touch on story spoilers. It's not really... there is a story. There's a really good story. But I'm going to touch on some other like enemies because I think that's something I'd quite like to talk about. But I don't think by the time you get around to playing it, you'll remember really what I've said. So basically, I've played the Silent Hill 2 remake, which was made by Bloober Team through Konami, based off of Silent Hill 2. And it's like a full remake. It's now over the shoulder like Resident Evil 4, whereas the original is like fixed camera pretty much, and the camera like goes around a little bit, but mainly it doesn't follow you. And I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as the original. I don't know why. I found the original scarier. I think that's because of the limited control scheme, and it's actually quite hard to like navigate. And if something's coming towards you, it is actually just legitimately terrifying.
Yeah. It's like, oh fuck! I can't figure out how to move out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have like a dodge button in this, which is you need, but it does make it a bit easier. But it was still quite tricky in places, but it just didn't feel as scary.
Yeah.
But that being said, it is still nerve-wracking when you're in like Toluca prison or Brookhaven Hospital or the fucking apartments and the bit at the end. Like it is all a scary game. But the story is much more like cleaner. It's much more like tidied up in a way. I think the other one I would more compare it to something like David Lynch had done, the original. Yeah. The stories are basically the same, but this one just feels a little bit more like it's gone on a straight path, whereas the other one
doesn't have multiple endings.
Yeah, it still does. There's like I think it's like 5 different endings. I'll talk about some of the endings because the endings are some of them are funny. But there's like 2 extra endings in this, so I think there's 7, and you can only unlock some of them by doing New Game Plus.
Right.
Because what happens is when you do the New Game Plus, it adds in things that you need to find, which might be a bit weird to find in the first run through. Like, you need to find like 3 books and 2 gems in like random places across the map, and then you need to go to this place and activate them, and then you get abducted by an alien. Like, it's just weird.
But it makes sense on New Game Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Because you've gone through the game with its serious story, then it's like, let's have a bit of fun with it. One of the episodes, it's one of the endings is you realise a dog has been watching the entire chain of events in a UFO in this control panel. It's absolutely weird. It's so I remember, and those are the endings that are in Silent Hill 2, the original as well. But it's really weird that they're in there because the game is so amazingly clever with its like story of James. So basically, James Sunderland, the main character, comes back to Silent Hill. So his wife died 3 years ago, and he gets a letter from his dead wife saying, "Return to Silent Hill," and there's like a bit of it, and she just says, "Come back." So he comes back to Silent Hill, meets a couple characters along the way, which all have their sort of own things going on. There's only like 3, I think. Yeah, there's 3. Basically, all of the bad guys in the game have some kind of relevance to what James is experiencing. And it's quite hard to talk about specifically without going into too much spoilers, but they all resemble like a part of James's shame or guilt, and you learn more about him as the story goes on, and then you get the big sort of ending at the end of what's happened and all this kind of stuff. But all the bad guys, when you play it eventually, go in, find the Silent Hill wiki, and just read the descriptions of all the bad guys and what they resemble, because it is absolutely fascinating and so incredibly clever. I'm going to spoil one of them because I don't think it matters that much, but basically, one of the bad guys isn't based off of your shame, as it were, or your guilt or your trauma. It's based off of this character called Angela. Now, she appears randomly throughout the game, and she's gone a bit crazy, and she's looking for her mother. And you find her later in the game, and you basically have some of the dialogue she's saying, and the story kind of goes on, and you realise that she's killed her father because her father was raping her and sexually abusing her as a child. And then this manifests in this bad guy called Abstract Daddy, it's this terrifying thing. And basically what it is it's like her memory of her dad, and the bad guy itself is a bed frame that's like a black mass which is in a slightly suggestive position of like what she remembers of the experience. And I just think that is absolutely terrifying that someone has created this creature. Do you want me to show you a photo of it?
Yeah.
I'll show you a very quick photo of it because it's quite hard to explain, but it is. I just can't believe how dark they went. But all of the other bad guys basically do this sort of thing for James. Abstract.
It's like a haunt. It's like a ghost haunting.
I think it might be the most. I think the Abstract Daddy might be the most like disturbing thing I've ever
encountered.
I
More
think
than
in a game.
Resident Evil 8 Baby.
Yeah, because it has emotional relevance. So this is the.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. And like, there's like a head underneath here. So what she's seeing is like her dad coming up here, and then they've got this like huge mass. But because it's abstract, it's like just colours and well, it's not really that much colour, but it's just black. But yeah, that's what attacks you, and it's a boss fight basically. But that is her memory of her dad raping her and sexually abusing her, coming into her room at night. And that's the embodiment of that evil and that trauma. Oh, it's just so heavy. Oh, it's so heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is so clever.
That's Kojima, isn't it?
It's Kojima. He's a genius, really. But yeah, so basically all of the sort of bad guys linked to sort of, like I said, James's like guilt and trauma and suffering in some way or the other. And some of them like his like repressed sexual desires. Like, it really is. I can't believe what the game. I remember playing the original Silent Hill and thinking it was really cool, but for me this one just clears it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I just think because the graphics are so much better. Do you know what I mean? You can see the character models a lot better and things like that. But yeah, it was really good. I think and I think it's quite hard. I don't think it's quite as good as the Resident Evil 4 remake, and even in a way the Dead Space remake. Although I think Silent Hill 2 ultimately is a better game because it's deeper. It's just not remade quite as well. It feels a bit rough in places. There was a couple of puzzles where you have to like navigate a cube, and I kept getting stuck. And I was like, this is just a bit like irritating. And he doesn't control very well, which I think is intentional because he's not supposed to be like some army guy. He's supposed to just be a general everyday guy. But yeah, it's just a bit weird. It just doesn't look as good. It doesn't look quite as like polished as some of the other ones. And I think it's because it's from a team that
like
haven't made.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like Bloober Team. They haven't really got any that big releases like The Medium, a couple of other games. Like they haven't got. Whereas EA remade Dead Space when they made it originally, and Capcom obviously Resident Evil, huge companies. So it just doesn't have quite the good looks and the polish that those games have. But it has difficulty sliders for combat and puzzles, which is quite helpful. I mean, but it is just amazing. The game itself is unreal because what it's based on is amazing. But I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think that I said because I think for me it slightly lost the scary edge that I think the original had, and I think as remakes go, it needed a little bit more polish to really truly.
What would you give the original? Out of curiosity.
I mean, I think the original is pretty much a 10 out of 10 game. I think it might be slightly lower than that because I think it's quite hard to digest because it's so random with its dialogue and its storytelling. It's I didn't really quite the sort of ending of the original Silent Hill 2. I didn't quite clock it happened the way it did until I played this game.
Right.
When you've played it, I'll explain what I mean. Let me know because I would quite like to come back to that point. And I might have just been me being really dense when I played it, but I didn't quite clock that was what it was. I thought he was feeling guilty over something he wanted to happen as opposed to something he did do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I won't go into any further, but that's what I thought had happened. But actually it was the other way. But yeah, no, it is really good. But yeah, you should definitely pick it up.
Did you buy it physically?
I borrowed it off of Kit. Sorry.
That's alright. That's alright.
It's not a particularly long game, to be fair.
No.
If you,
obviously on PS2 hardware originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's slightly longer than the PS2 game. I think it probably took me like 18 hours. But you could potentially buy it online at where we used to work, and you could potentially get it back within 14 days if you had a good.
I probably if I did buy it, probably one I'd keep just because I
love
the intrigue of the Silent Hill franchise.
Yeah, and I think once you go back and do the different endings, because the game has a really clever reactionary system. So basically, there's a character that comes in midway, which is supposed to be. Her face is exactly the same as your dead wife, but she's a slightly more sexualized version, a more provocative version of her. And depending on how you treat her in the game, whether you ignore her, whether you bump into her too much, whether you overtly protect her, and all those kind of things, you get different endings based on those interactions. There's nothing specific you can do where it's like 3 dialogue choices. It depends on how you are in the game, and it is really clever. The original game had it so that if you wanted a specific ending, you had to not let her incur any damage at all during her time with you in the playthrough, which was really hard, and they've changed that.
Because like protecting Ashley in Resident Evil 4.
Basically just her not having any damage at all. It's so hard because they're stupid. Do you know what I mean?
It's game AI.
And she doesn't duck or anything; she just gets in the way. But basically, there's a bit where towards the end of her segment, she's being chased by a powerful bad guy, and it's in the original. It's really hard to not get her hurt in that segment. So yeah, but no, it changes it. It makes it more of how you sort of like treat her in the game.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It is really cool. It's quite subtle, and I really realised it afterwards when I looked up my ending and how many other ones there were. But it's definitely definitely worth a play.
Have
But
you ever seen Silent Hill the film?
Yeah, I loved the film. I
Did
saw
you?
the film before the game, I think. Yeah.
I
But I was when it came out. When did it come out? 2006.
think so.
So I was 13. So
Yeah.
I was all about the sort of like, oh my god, like barbed wire, blood, like pyramid head, and like, oh, this is so cool. But I had not played the game at all.
Right.
Actually, that's a lie. I'll tell you why that's a lie.
Tell me.
I played the demo. You remember demo discs on PS2?
Yeah.
I had a demo disc which had Silent Hill 3 demo on it. And you play as the girl, and I was too scared to play it, so I never went back and tried to do any of the demo because there's like dead bunnies, but like big like anthropomorphic bunnies, but they're like covered in blood and they won't move. And I was like, one of them's gonna move, and I don't want to do that, and I was too scared, so I turned it off and never played it again.
Yeah, 13-year-old Joe wouldn't even put the disc in.
Yeah, I know. I think I was even younger, to be fair, and I was probably like 10 or 9 when I had my PS2.
Cool.
I was like, no.
I was younger than.
But the film's all right, isn't it?
So yeah, I just
It's
didn't
one
like
of
the
the better
ending.
video game
I didn't like
films.
the ending.
What with
It didn't make sense.
the barbed wire girl that comes out of the well?
Yeah, like I think it contradicts itself. Obviously, I watched it 2023.
Yeah.
When I was in Costa Rica the first time. I watched it there, and I remember being like, that just doesn't work.
No.
How can she do this if she's done this or whatever?
I can't really remember it very well.
I remember liking like the majority of it.
Yeah, it looks good, and I think that what I quite liked about it was that it was kind of quite a good little film, like a little horror film.
Even if you haven't like played the game, it still works.
Now I've played the game, I don't like the idea that basically for me, I see Silent Hill as a metaphor for one's guilt or trauma, whereas this film isn't really about that. She's accidentally just kind of stumbled into Silent Hill, and it's not about her, it's about this little girl that's been murdered because of a cult, and then the cult, she kind of just wreaks revenge, doesn't she? So I think that it's more of a sort of straightforward horror tale as opposed to it being about anything more psychologically damaging.
100%. Yeah. I like Sean Bean in that.
Yeah, Sean Bean's in it. Because there's a sequel, isn't there, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Silent Hill Revelations.
Yeah.
Which I haven't even seen.
I think it came out quite a while after.
It did.
Well.
I think it came out in 2013. Somewhere around there.
Let us know.
But Christopher Gans, who directed the first one, is doing the Silent Hill Return to Silent Hill film that's coming out last year.
Right.
But I think it's about Silent Hill 2 because
the game.
The game,
right.
Because I saw that they had gone to some quite extreme lengths to recreate some of the scenery from the film.
Yeah.
I think he was saying they were in like Bosnia or somewhere weird, where they'd recreated the opening scene from Silent Hill 2 where he's in a car park before he goes to Silent Hill, like practically, with the cliff and the beach in the background and the toilets and stuff. So,
That's cool.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. But I went through such a phase after something like Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Fucking loved that. This like mid-noughties
gothic horror.
Yeah, I mean I love gothic horror. I used to play a game called Primal on the PS2, which I am like just desperate for them to remake so bad. I don't think they ever will. I'd love to go back and replay it, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
And it's really tricky because it's got no way markers, which is fine.
But you got to spend all that time finding out what the fuck you're meant to be doing.
Yeah, and if you don't really keep on top of it, like I feel like I'd have to play it in quite quick succession because if I came back on and forgotten what I'd done, I think I'd even struggle to like use a guide to work out where I need to go. It's that kind of obtuse.
You got to like see shit. Hang on, what have I got?
Yeah.
Like, how far have I got into this?
And I actually never completed it as a kid because I got stuck in it, which was a shame. But I fucking loved it. It was so gothic horror. It was really good. I used to play loads of games like that. I used to be well into me. Like I used to have like porcelain skulls on my windowsill and fucking Dragon and Fire t-shirts and skull t-shirts, skull beanies.
Yeah,
I was just that kid, man.
I
just cool as fuck, you know.
Do you know, I must have been 13. No, I was 11. It was 2012. Do you remember? Everyone thought the Mayan calendar was going to end of the world.
Yeah, I was in secondary school for this.
I remember, my first year of secondary school.
It was my last.
It was the last day of term.
Yeah.
That the day fell on, which is a weird coincidence.
Oh no,
Christmas
sorry.
Holiday.
I'm lying. I'm like we're older than 5 years apart. My brain has gone to the Hadron Collider. When they turned that on and everyone thought that the world was going to end because there was a small chance of black holes. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Go on with your 2012 stuff.
Mine calendar.
Yeah.
I remember wearing to school that day. This is my zombie killing t-shirt. I was like, just in case, guys.
You're ready for it, guys. Yeah, you.
I got it.
Little bold boy.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't bold then. That was before I went bold.
Yeah. Weird times.
It was weird times.
Black holes, mate. Black
holes and
Mayan.
what was the Mayan? What did they think was going to happen?
What, the Mayan calendar? I think they thought the world was going to end.
Just stop.
Do you want to know something really scary?
Go on.
There are black holes that circulate around the known universe at the speed of light. And if one was hurtling towards us, we'd have absolutely no idea. And we'd cease to exist in a blink of an eye. All because completely gone. They literally just go like this. It's terrifying, isn't it? Doesn't that make you feel so tiny?
Yeah.
Because they just go so fast, and because they refract light, they absorb light. We can't see them through a telescope. We just know they exist.
But we don't know what happens when we go into one.
We would all die.
Some people theorise that if something goes into a black hole, it must then come out of a black hole.
Yeah.
And they think that...
But I think the problem is, unless we magically spawned somewhere in the known universe that's equal distance to the sun as what we are right now, we'd all just freeze to death.
Yeah, no, true.
Our atmosphere would be ruined.
Because it just breaks down every atom, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then have to reassemble all of them in the exact same order without having actually damaged anything.
It's weird.
Fucking space and shit, mate.
I love it, but it scared me out a little bit. So when I read that, I was like, that's just ruined my day.
It would be so cool to be an astronomer.
Yeah.
But then,
I don't think that kind of knowledge helps anyone.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm quite nihilistic anyway, and kind of just think that it's all meaningless. But it is scary. I think the thing that scares me is how ridiculously small we are, and we think that we're big, and we think that we own the world, and people like Donald Trump obviously think he's one of the biggest things in the world. It's like we're ultimately nothing.
No, yeah.
We are not even an atom in a fucking room compared to in the planet compared to the universe. Do you know what I mean? We're just nothing, and that scares me a little bit. I think.
A little bit.
I'm really hoping that we discover that aliens exist before I die.
Right.
I know they exist, but I need to know that.
Capacity.
I just need to know they exist.
Yeah.
But I don't think we ever will. There's all the imagery we get from the telescopes is fucking thousands and thousands of years old because of how long it's taken for light to get to us. So, I'm hoping that we just take a picture of a planet one day and we're like, oh, there's a fucking...
bloke there.
There's a bloke there with 6 legs and whatever. Hello! Because there's no way that aliens don't exist. It's just, we're just never going to notice. And they're never going to make contact because there's just no... I don't think there's a feasible way that they'll ever work out the travel.
Fantasize that there's this intergalactic
Civilization.
civilization.
Planetary!
Civilization that is out there seeking to destroy planets and
or just to make friends. We'd attack them straight away because it's just what we do. We'd be like, oh shit, bomb them, bombed them. But yeah, sorry, that's a bit of a...
We went away there, didn't we?
We went away. We probably scared the listeners to be like, oh my god, we are nothing, and a fucking super fast black hole is going to take us out.
That we still have films and TV and games.
But the moral of my story is live every moment of your life. Live every moment of your life to the fullest, because you could be taken out by a super fast, super massive black hole at any point, and you wouldn't even notice, and you might get regurgitated out on the other side.
But you might not be lucky.
But you might not. Probably won't. No. We'll probably be crushed by the own weight of our.
We'll probably get fucking smashed up by a meteorite in 2032.
Oh, that's been degraded. Have you seen this?
Oh, has it?
It's been degraded. They've put it now as a 0.001% chance of that impact.
Oh, boring.
And they said if it did impact, it would likely hit Southern America area, and it would have to hit anywhere it would hit. It would probably destroy a large city.
Yeah.
wouldn't be
It'd be like
like
a mile-long crater, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a big ass, like big, massive issue if it hit a city. It would kill everyone in the city, basically. But they don't think it's gonna hit really.
It'd be like fucking Threads.
Yeah.
When the nuke goes off.
Basically, yeah. But
Or
so
nukes.
no, so it's been downgraded.
Well,
Sorry,
it's always
Sorry.
next time, isn't there?
there is always next time. But yeah. Right. Do you want to talk about anything? Do you have anything you'd like to review? I mean, I've got 1,000 fucking things. So.
I mean, I've been cracking through Fargo basically.
Give it a
I don't want to say anything. I want to save it all for.
save it all for
when I actually finish it.
Bilbao film,
But I'll only one season.
Marfrim. Who else is in it? I want to do that some more. Brew Campbell,
Cruz
Campbell, Cruz Campbell, Cruz
Rock,
Bamble.
mate. Chris Rock's in the last season.
Oh yeah, Cruz Rock.
Chris Rock.
And it's got Patrick Wilson.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yep.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bossa.
Kieran Culkin.
Is he? I like Kieran
Season
Culkin.
2, but he dies in the first.
Have you
episode.
seen the really weird Kieran Culkin Emma Stone clip from a film they're in?
No.
And it's like,
Well, when he's a kid.
I don't know if he's a kid, and I think it's that movie 43, which is like got loads of really famous people in it. And it keeps coming up on my Facebook, and it's like they're talking, and they're like, "Do you like?" Hang on, I'm gonna find it.
Have you seen the clip of Jeremy Allen White from movie 43?
No, I have not seen it, and I've heard it's
I've
terrible,
seen
but
it.
it has
I've
a
seen
hell of a cast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kieran Culkin, Emma
He's
Stone.
he basically plays like this, just like, generic white guy, white teenager in America, suburban. And he's like, his parents are like sat talking to like a neighbour, they're having like dinner or whatever, and it's like he's in passing. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go meet up with my girlfriend. And then he goes into his room and he pulls out this mop with like a wig on. It's like, oh hi, listeners! It's just like stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Stephen Merchant's in it with fucking Halle Berry.
Oh, it's
They've got like a little moment together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, they're basically at a dinner and they're like daring each other to do stuff.
Yeah.
But the dares just keep getting more and more outrageous, but they keep like actually doing them.
Yeah.
There's like one where Stephen Merchant gets like Asian eyes.
Right. Oh, I found it.
Go on.
Blanche, you take that back, you son of a...
Oh, I lost it.
Fuck.
I've tried to download TikTok by accident.
Look like the slutty one on the Golden Girls.
Dorothy.
Blanche, you take that back, you son of a bitch, you take it back! Take that back!
Oh, that wasn't it.
First of all, I wanted to.
She's like, oh, it's weird. I'm not going to be able to find it now. It's going to take too long. But it's like, he's like, asked something really weird, and she's like, do you feel like fingers in your butthole? And he's like, of course. It's a really weird little scene, but like, yeah.
Fuck.
I'll try and find it later. But Kieran Culkin, considering he's just like a random Culkin and not the famous one, has done so well for himself.
In recent years, yeah.
Yeah, oh, really well. Succession, I think, has sort of springboarded him. But he's really good in A Real Pain.
Yeah, I do. Again, another film I need to watch.
Yeah, you'd like that. It's really good, and it's only, I think it's only like 90 minutes, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Really lovely length of a film. I don't like to sound like a fucking young, like, little bitch that doesn't like a really long film, but it's just, who has the time to watch a 3.5 hour film? I really want to watch The Brutalist.
Yeah, but
And
fuck that.
I kind of wanted to go to the cinema to see it this Sunday, but I'm going to go see The Monkey instead. It's 3.5 hours long.
It's like the only 3 hour long film that I feel like I was like fully engaged with, probably Avatar. And Avatar 2.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Some of the the Batman ones. Batman. Like, some of them are fine, and unfortunately, it's genre films, isn't it?
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon I got a bit restless
I
with.
fell asleep.
Irishman I got a bit restless with.
We're lucky we had a break for that.
Yeah, that was a good break for that. Beau Was Afraid was really good, but even
Yet
that
to watch that.
started to have a little bit of a. It's just obscenely long. I think The Brutalist is too long, but I need to watch it before I can fully comment. Really. But
Yeah.
Anyway, you didn't want to talk about Fargo. Do you want me to talk about someone else?
Yeah, go for it.
Lovely. Alrighty who. I will talk about... what should I talk about, Joe?
I don't know, mate. What you got?
I'll talk about Saturday night.
Saturday night at the movie.
Oh no, I'm not going to talk about Saturday night.
Oh.
I'll talk about that. I'll talk about something else as well. I will talk about Saturday night though. So I watched Saturday Night, which is about the hour and a half run up into the first ever Saturday Night Live that occurred about 50 years ago. So the film's quite topical because they obviously had the anniversary, and was. The people that were on Saturday Night Live were like your Chevy Chase, your Dan Aykroyd, Jim Belushi, all these like big famous names, Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
And
Larry David was on the writing staff.
Larry David, yeah, he was probably in the film. There were so many. There was a lot you'd recognise. Some of them they didn't even say their names, and you just kind of recognise who the actors are playing. But basically, it's kind of filmed like Birdman. It's a lot of tracking shots, but it's much less intense. Like, it's not as like, fucking hell, this is exhausting. There are a few like respite scenes. It's made by Jason Reitman, and it's just a really solid film. I mean, it's just really enjoyable. I didn't really have much wrong with it, really. I think that there were some points where I was like, I kind of wish it was slightly funnier. Maybe they did more sketches.
Yeah. Because
it's not necessarily about the sketches. But then actually, I kind of preferred some of the best humour was just watching the chaos, and some of the actors playing the other actors. So like Chevy Chase, the actor playing him was probably my favourite, and his intro was just timeless, because they literally like introed him, and he literally like bumps into someone, falls forward, like slides on his tummy, like right towards where the camera is and where we are as the audience, and then the main character, and then like hops up and he's like, oh sorry everyone, I just tripped on my dick. Do you know what I mean? Like in proper Chevy Chase fashion, like super quick, very good with the physical comedy, and then also a bit of a dickhead by like sort of like knocking into someone. And I just think they introduce him so well. But the actor playing Dan Aykroyd might be Logan Lerman.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's a weird casting choice.
He's just so well.
Are they?
So well. They all do such a good job. I think it's Logan Lerman. Do you want to look at it for me real quick while I
can't.
Oh, your phone's recording me, isn't it? Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. Hang on. Saturday night. Film. Ooh. Cast. Dylan O'Brien. Sorry, not Logan Lerman. I always get the two mixed up because they basically look exactly the same. Dylan O'Brien plays Dan Aykroyd. Maze Runner.
Yeah.
And Love and Monsters, which is quite a good film actually. But basically, just as I said, it's just the run up into it, and it's just absolute carnage. It's really good. It's really funny. I really like the writing. J.K. Simmons is an absolute menace in it. He plays. Oh, I forgot his name.
Lorne Michaels?
No, he plays. Fuck.
Come on, Harry, mate.
He plays someone called Milton Berle on a show that was like huge in America, and basically they had this show as like a rerun option if Saturday Night Live didn't work, and none of the execs could understand what this show was about, and they'd basically given him the opportunity, and they were like, we're pretty sure you're going to fail, and they were hoping that he would fail so that they could just scrap it off. And then they did some sketches, and they started to see that it did have potential, and it like starts to melt down, and they kind of all come together at the end and make it work. But J.K. Simmons is such a menace in it, and he's like this like jolly pervy granddad, and he's like dancing with 4 women on his show, and he's like got his hands like this, and he's like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like real like pervy, and then he's chatting up Chevy Chase's fiance, and as you can imagine, Chevy Chase is not someone that's going to take to that very well, and he walks over and he's like immediately confrontational to J.K. Simmons. And it's so funny because he literally is just like looking at him as he's like ranting at him, and he just pulls his dick out. And you just see like the top of the shaft. Yeah. Because you don't see like the whole dick, you just see like the top like centimetre of it. Yeah. To make his point, you realise what he's done, and it's so out of the blue and just so random. But I wonder if it happened in real life. Probably.
Something like as specific as that.
Yeah. And there was one of the writers where basically, because it was NBC Network, they couldn't make certain phrases and certain words on there. So they have a lady that's like checking the scripts to make sure that certain words don't go through. But they keep adding in things into the script that they don't think that she'll know. And so she'll just be like wandering around and she'll be like, guys, what's a golden shower? And then they like try and like fob it up as like, oh, it's like yellow rain. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just, there's so many like that. Yeah, it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it ended prematurely, and again, it's hard because it wasn't about the actual show itself. It was about the journey. But the film ends just as they're about to do the first episode, and I'd almost like to have seen
what they'd like recreate it.
And even if it was, I actually think it would have been really good if they'd done it in the credits. You know, like Toy Story films where there's like the credits are coming down. I just wanted to see some more skits of those people doing some funny stuff together. Yeah, but it was really good. It was real. It's real like of the time. It felt really like smoky and seedy and like that kind of browny beigey area, and everyone was just like super chill with each other, and like it was just lush. It was a really good film. But yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Nice. I'd really recommend it to anyone who I didn't know anything about Saturday Night Live, and I went with a friend who didn't either, and we just both really enjoyed it. So yeah,
coolio.
And that was that. So I watched Emilia Perez.
Oh yeah.
Which is probably about as good as we all think it was going to be. It isn't actually it's a fine film. The problem is I don't think the film itself is that special. The best part of it by absolute far is Zoe Saldana's amazing performance. She deserves all the accolades she's getting. I actually think it's a bit of a shame because I reckon she's deserved it because she's been acting for years. Do you know what I mean? But I think to me it sounds like it would have been quite interesting if Ariana Grande won the Oscar for Wicked, which she's been shut out because of Zoe Saldana, which makes sense. That the performance, I haven't seen Wicked, but do you know what I mean? It's just gone that way. But I think that would have been quite funny for someone who's not really ever acted to then just be like, yeah, give me the Oscar. So yeah, but anyway, back to Emilia Perez. So basically the idea of the film is that this huge drug lord, massive drug lord, wants to become a woman. It has felt like they're a woman all their life, and because of the world they live in and what they do, hasn't really felt acceptable to do so. Now they have he at the time has a wife and 2 kids. But to achieve this goal of life, what they want to do is they have to basically forgo everything. So he hires Zoe Saldana to help him with the transition, with disappearing basically, and setting up a new life for himself as Emilia Perez. So when this all happens, it all goes off without a hitch, and she then is now Emilia Perez, and she basically forgoes the whole family, and they go somewhere else to be safe. And then a couple years later, she basically approaches Zoe Saldana's character to say, I can't live without my kids. Like, I'm enjoying my life as a woman, but I miss my kids.
Yeah.
And then they basically, the wife and the kids move in, and then Emilia Perez pretends to be their auntie.
We talked about this, I think, last week.
And I made a comparison to a film, which I will say what that film is. Now, I want my listeners to know that I am very supportive of the trans movement, of trans rights, and I only make this comparison because of the way the film is, and not because I think that what the film...
Take it like plot line for plot line.
Plot line for plot line, and not for what this film has done. So basically, it's kind of similar to Mrs. Doubtfire, in the sense that you have this character who is hiding their identity from their children so that they can be with them. That is the only tangible thread there. I'm making no comparisons to the character of Emilia Perez and then Robin Williams fucking Aerosmith dancing, cross-dressing nanny, basically. Like, that's where it ends. But that is really similar. It's a point worth making because, as I said, and actually, by the end of the film, the kids and the wife are none the wiser. They don't ever find out, which I think is a really shitty... I think is a really shitty thing to do. Yeah. It's really hard to root for the character of Emilia Perez because... she's just being shit.
Yeah. She's not coming being truthful.
Yeah, basically to her family, and it doesn't ever come to light. Like, she doesn't ever admit to them. Sort of. It is a bit complicated in a way, but the bit that I don't like. So I'm going to say that I think it looks quite cool. I like that it's a musical that isn't like a really showy musical. It's a functional musical, and it looks cool, but it's not like big glitter and glam like Greatest Showman, Wicked, like set pieces. Like, there are a few dances and stuff, but it's more about like physical body storytelling. The storytelling's been told through body language. I think that's really cool. The two things I don't like about it is, and a third thing I found out about it after the film. The first one being that I feel like I might end up speaking on stuff that I maybe don't know enough about. What I don't like is that this drug lord, this awful human being that has probably resulted in masses of deaths, masses of drugs being sold and everything, has then transitioned. And basically what happens is after she transitions, she starts a charity to help people who've lost people in the drug cartel war and try and find their body. And it's like, I don't think that person, that character, would have done everything they've done and then just all of a sudden become a good person.
Is it based on a true story?
No, I think it's a totally fictional story. I think, and I don't buy the fact that if you change your gender because you've been assigned the wrong gender at birth or however it is, you fundamentally, your personality doesn't change. You become more enabled to be who you are.
Yeah.
But if you are a bad person and you are a drug runner and you are a murderer, you don't then all of a sudden change your gender and then suddenly become
I don't do any of that,
a good person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't start doing those things. So I think that it puts too much to say.
It was because of the change.
It's because of the change.
Rather than like an actual change of character.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels like a bit of a storytelling crutch, and I feel like it's not. I feel like it's bad appropriation for the sort of trans community to say that
it's
that
just like
is
obvious. Oh, this is the new me.
Yeah,
it's in your face.
To me, it doesn't work. But I'm more than happy for anyone in the comment section to, we all want to clarify. We all want to learn. That's how I feel about it. I feel it's a bit of an odd character choice. I didn't like. Forgotten this bit I didn't like. The third bit I didn't like. I've forgotten the second bit, but the third bit I didn't like is I didn't realise at the time, but actually hardly any of it's filmed in Mexico. And then I did kind of notice in the film, but there isn't actually that many Mexican actors in it.
Oh.
It's like it's fine that like the main ones not all of them are Mexican, because Selena Gomez isn't Mexican. She's half Mexican, maybe half American. Can't remember. Dominican, maybe.
Latin family.
Yeah, and I just feel like they haven't authentically cast very well. But most of it was filmed in France. It's a French director. So it has its goods and it has its bads. But I think overall, the issue I have with it is it's just a bit of a middling film. But I don't want to take away from the fact that I think that Zoe Saldana's amazing. Selena Gomez is really good in it as well. I don't think that the actress playing Emilia Perez deserves the award's praise, because I don't think it is about her, but it's kind of like when you watch I always come back to this film, but The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg, it is about Mark Wahlberg, but actually what's happening around him is much more fascinating than him, and that's kind of what I feel about this. And I think that it's just because it's one of those films that ticks a lot of it's a musical, it's a well-made film, and it's got all those things. It's had all those nominations across the board because it has a lot of things going on it. So when everyone's like, oh, it's got 14 Oscar nominations or however many it's got,
it doesn't mean it's good.
It doesn't mean it's that good. It's just hit a lot of the topics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's got a song in it. It's got
broad,
it's really broad with what it does in terms of the Oscar categories. I actually don't think it will win any of them, to be honest. Bar Zoe Saldana, pretty much definitely picking up supporting actress, which she deserves. So I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10, which sounds like I've shit on it quite a lot. There are decent bits to it. I said I appreciated the musical aspect of it. Zoe's amazing. Selena Gomez is good. There are some fine bits in it, but ultimately
it's not great.
It's not special, and I think it has some slightly troubling messaging surrounding transitioning in my eyes. But as a white hetero male, I probably don't have the best outlook on it, I guess. So, but yeah, please call me out in the comments if I said anything incorrect, because we all want to learn, and
we are all together.
We stand by all the all the movements. We are very inclusive here on the CornBread podcast, and we want everyone to feel comfortable in their own skin, because we do. We want everyone to feel like that. We spread our love.
Darn frickin' tootin'.
Yeah, darn tootin'. That's what Cal's catchphrase. That's Cal's catchphrase now.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's enough of the loving, I guess. The loving, but yeah, that's what I'd give it. It's
nice.
It's not great, but it's
nice.
Fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Thank you once again for listening to CornBread, a multimedia-verse production.
Yeah.
I have been Joe. This has been
you got
Harry.
it right. Well done.
Yeah, this has been Harry.
I'm Harry.
Yeah. Hopefully we might have Cal back next week, but again, it's this whole Neil Clint Eastwood scheduling.
Yeah, we'll see what other animal baby he sees his father in the meantime.
God, so everything grows much quicker over there. It's all fucking pumped up with fake shit to make it grow quick.
Yeah, who fucking knows with Callum? He's such an adventurer, isn't he?
He is.
He makes us look dull as fuck.
Yeah.
We just turn up every day and talk about films, and he's off there fucking humping mules and meeting Clint Eastwood. And all kinds of crazy shit. Being a cowboy and a Rhinestone CalBoy.
Yeah. Midnight
Cowboy.
Midnight Rhinestone CalBoy.
The cowboy. Oh dear. Anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
See you next time.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Smelling me some cornbread.